Hello, heathens.
Hello, Heathens.
Hello, my lady. We've been watching Game of Thrones and I can't stop saying certain quotes like, you know nothing, Jon Snow.
You know nothing, Jon Snows. I've watched all of almost all of them. Well, I went on a dinosaur mission. I watched all of those.
Ew, we love dinosaurs.
And Trinity's right. She's like, it's just the same thing over and over. I go, yes. Also, obsessed with dinosaurs.
Also, love nature movies and shows, so I'm still gonna watch the ones about dinosaurs.
Right. It's the only one we got. So the second one I've been watching franchise, which I didn't realize it was so big, was the Paranormal Activity one.
Oh, the movies?
Yes, I thought that they were going to be corny as hell, and stayed away from them for clearly years.
My God, you've never watched them till now?
No. And I've watched
Oh,
them and I was like, these are actually really good. Like I thought the story was going to be bad or whatever, right?
yeah.
But like they actually have a good story between like three or four. Like they're still all tied in together. Like I'm in Ghost Dimension one and it's like the wait, one, two, three, four, five, six one. It's the sixth one, I think. And I'm like, still like,
Yeah. You know, I'm not gonna lie, those are one of those ones that actually got me. Because I'm like, that shit's, there's like kind of real life shit in there. And also, it's the home video perspective that really gets me.
that's really what it is. It's the home video perspective because it's not necessarily like, it's not edited and all crisp. I mean, we know it is edited, but like, it's not crisp. Literally see the guy go, let me set up this camera. And he's all like, and he sets up the camera and you're like, oh, okay. Like, and it's all the guys are all obsessed with like like I found this camera and I gotta like every movie starts with that.
Yes. It's like home cameras. They got they're like ones up on the cupboards and stuff. Those
Hmm.
movies, I remember when the first one came out and I definitely watched it and I was so scared.
They're creepy. And I think it's that lack of actually having a monster like that you can see, touch, taste, and feel. Like it really does make it, or the creepy part, like the really creepy things that we don't necessarily do as humans that are normal, like stand over somebody while they're sleeping for hours.
Yeah. Yeah. Freaky. I'm glad you finally watched those. I didn't know you hadn't watched those.
No, I am literally in, yeah, the sixth one, and I think there's one more because there's Next of Kin is the last one that I know of.
They're really good. You know, also it's like when it comes to the filming part, I just realized what that is too, is like, you know how some movies we talk about it where like some horror movies are so beautifully done because like the cinematography is beautiful. Like it looks almost unrealistic because like everything looks so pretty, almost in an animated pretty way. And like those
Yeah.
ones are almost so raw that it's like, this is too realistic.
I'm like, am I looking into a dimensional portal right now? Or is this a TV? Yep.
Yeah. Reminds me of how like old horror films are, like older, I should say. Like The First Ring was creepy
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like that one wasn't so pretty.
Yeah, anything like the first ring was definitely creepy because you're like, should I watch this video? I don't know if I should watch this video. What if I get a phone call? Like,
Yeah. Like the first exorcism too of Emily Rose. Oh, oof, 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 oof.
that's a great one.
It's so good and it's so creepy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Love horror movies.
Good ones. I love good ones.
Yeah, that's fair. There are some. not so good ones out there.
Hmm.
Yeah, for real. Okay, dear friend, what are we talking to the peoples about today?
We are talking, what is it? Bundles and spells and oils and etc.
Yeah, like
etc.
figured we could call it like magical tools and spells because
Hmm.
these could be considered tools, like candles and bundles, which is
Well,
funny.
this is what we would use to, correct things in our life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
Which brings me into uh something I wanted to talk with you guys about because Nicole just is really good. I was telling her this earlier. She's really good at removing the fluff for us. I want to talk about the law of threefold return or the rule of threes. So basically, it's everything that goes out returns three times or in threes. And they use it as a cautionary to keep people from, hexing, I guess you could say, or doing something to somebody else that would be perceived as a negative way of using magic. And it could be it's the rule of threes is good, neither good nor bad. It just says that everything comes back to you three times.
Hmm.
So what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I guess at first, like when I was first getting into it, it was like, oh God, now I'm afraid to do anything because I know it's going to come back to me. Now I'm at the point where like I'm my own governor. I know what is right and wrong. I know like I am not the evil sorceress that's trying to rule the world yet. Uh so with this kind of thing, like at first I was like, it made me caution. It made me think twice about stuff. I think it actually slowed my progress because I was so afraid of doing something wrong that um it kind of stopped me from crossing the threshold,
Yeah.
which may be good, maybe bad, whatever, right?
Hmm.
Um the way I see it is that it's an easy warning for people to listen to because if I just told you to not do it, you wouldn't listen.
Yeah.
So now it's a little different when I tell you that stuff will come back at you, right? Like what you put out comes back at you, kind of
a-
thing.
Absolutely.
Um, which is also kind of true. Like, if we think the thoughts or speak the spells, we're already doing it now, right? Everything I've done ripples out into my life and comes back at me. Like I've made my own world. And that's kind of what it's already talking about is basically you're making your own world. And the same thing when we have cautions of like be careful what you wish for is a easy one that we all kind of know. But we don't really know what that means either. So like careful what you wish for is best way to put it is like if I create a spell that I want a new job, a new blah blah blah, whatever, something that's coming into my life or that I think I want in my life. But we don't realize that it's going to sacrifice all my friends at work. And I'm not going to have those daily connections anymore because I'm not next to them. I wanted the new job, but now I have to physically move to a new job. And that's change and there's different things that goes on and all that kind of stuff. I was talking to Cassie earlier about like it's kind of the best way for me to describe it. It's like if I wanted to be a nun, because I just learned about nuns and sisters and that they're two different things. And I didn't know that. But if I wanted to be a nun, I would have to sacrifice all my relationships, all my friends, my family, any relationship, my job, anything that I have right now. I would have to sacrifice all of that to worship God, basically. And that's
Yeah.
all I did because all my contacts would be with God or with the sisters. There is no other contact. At least that's what has been described to me.
Well, yeah, because there's like no you goodbye horror movies.
All of it.
Goodbye phone.
TVs, phones, all of it.
a lot of like
You
earthly possessions, you could say, right?
right, because that's what you're basically going to do is you're just going to like worship God.
I feel like that's such a beautiful way of like describing the threefold law because I agree that it can be good in the way of like it makes you put some serious thought into like what you're putting out, right? And like your intentions behind it and why you're actually doing it. You know, because if you get angry and you just do something out of like I don't know, anger and quickness, right? Instead of thinking about it, thinking where your anger is coming from, acknowledging your anger, like, you know, doing the stuff that you could be doing and you're just reacting instead of like looking internally. I feel like that's where it helps. Because when you start thinking, oh shit, if I put this out right now and like it's going to come back to me 3 times fold, you start thinking about it more. And I feel like it's a good
Right,
way to get you
because
to think.
that's the whole thing is you never think about the consequences.
Yeah.
If I'm mad at somebody and I like sent out this like, oh, I'm gonna do this thing and then it's fucking up their life, like ha ha ha. Like that's not what magic is supposed to be used for. Not for your petty shit.
Yeah.
And it's fine. We get petty out of times, and I get it. Like it's not, it's a thing. I get it. Like, but you just, we have to be careful when we're throwing around spells and curses and stuff like that.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Because really what it is that person is already more miserable than you are in the first place. And second of all, they're going to create their own despair. Just because you see what you think you see doesn't necessarily mean it's true.
And if we're following the four agreements, never heard of it.
Never heard of
We
that. I
weren't
don't know
supposed
what
to
you're
take
talking
it personally in the first place.
about. Right. But that's hard because like you hurt my feelings and now I'm gonna go blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
We get caught up in, that's the whole thing is like if you're going to do an evil spell, you're going to do an evil spell because you're going to find the righteousness behind it, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that you're an evil person. It's just the fact that you're going to fuck around and find out, and then you're going to really learn the hard way about like why you don't do that kind of magic.
Yep.
I mean, even when we saw that guy when we were looking at the curses and the hexes kind of thing, like that right there, we know that his time is coming. Like, yes, he is in a position right now where he's teaching other people, but only because it's benefiting some other being at that point. As soon as that beneficial thing stops, that's it.
Yep.
He'll have an accident, he'll go to jail, something will happen, and that'll be it. It's just like when you watch Princess and the Frog and the
Yes. The Voodoo King or whatever his name is.
yes, what is his name? It's just like as soon as he's promising all these souls to these creatures to use their powers, and he's like, basically loaning
He's known as the Shadow Man,
the
Dr.
Shadow Man.
Facilier or something, but
Hmm.
yes.
So, and at the end of the movie, when he hasn't delivered what he promised, and I almost would say that the spirits already knew he wasn't going to. So they were allowing him to fail so they would absorb his soul.
Yep.
Um, yeah, by the end of that movie, he's completely, been taken by the darkness and into whatever realm they're in. So it's exactly like that.
I
But
might
he was
watch that
doing
movie
it.
today.
It's that whole thing about personal gain. Like I always got caught up in the fact that you're not supposed to do witchcraft for personal gain. And Damien really helped me with this. He's like, listen, how are you going to worship God if you're worried about how your roof is going to be, like how the roof over your head is, or you're not comfortable in your own house, so because there's too much like heat, I don't have enough electricity, so I'm uncomfortable. How am I supposed to spend my time working on myself, working on my spiritual parts of myself without these what we've called luxuries, right? Because I haven't gotten to the point where I'm going to go out to the woods and be eaten by mosquitoes and practice. Like, I can't. I just am not in that level yet.
He's not a mosquito whisperer yet.
No, I've tried for years at this point where I was like, no, I will energetically have a force field around me. And they always break through. Very upset about it. I don't like it.
I don't like it.
I don't like it. I don't like it. It's bad.
I feel like you helped me a lot with that too. Damien helping you help me. Kind of
Right.
trickle down effect, ripple down effect. Because I agree. It made me feel better about like, yeah, that's accurate. Like I can't be stressing about how I'm going to pay for my apartment or my house or my electricity bill or whatever it is that I need to pay for. And also be focused on magic when I'm stressing about this and it's taking up all this mental capacity because one stressor like that can just
Right.
really deter you from anything else.
Well, it definitely is like, so you have to set up this thing. And this is why, ritual magic is very good about having an organized system of like, all right, so my first step is not necessarily to do a money spell and then like my life is fine. The reason why you have problems with money is because of the patterns that you're putting out in the world, but we don't see them that way. We see it as like, well, there's just not enough people, or the economy's bad, or I'm not doing it right, or if I just got this extra thing, I would make all this money. That'll never happen because no matter how much money you make, it's your spending that's the problem. It's not, and how you look at money. It's not necessarily like, so then we keep doing band-aids like, and that's how we live our life. So what ritual magic is doing, at least for me, and I'm sure there's many levels or ways of doing this, filters, if you will. Um, you have to build that foundation, and I have to look at myself and I have to look at the things that I'm doing, be aware of what I'm doing, and an all-encompassing thing instead of like not looking at the bad things because it makes me feel bad or makes me feel uncomfortable, but looking about how like I spend money and how I'm like not necessarily doing what I'm supposed to be doing to gain wealth or to do a um I don't know, to have a different life. I
Yeah.
can't act the same way and have a different life is basically what I'm saying.
Just, yeah, you can't just put the thought out there. We've talked about
Mm-mm.
this before, but we're going to say it again because it's important in spell work. A lot of the times you can't just put the intention out there without putting any action in it as well.
Right, right.
You can't just leave it up to the universe to do everything for you, essentially.
Because you are the universe. So
There you go.
you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you have to like do things. So this means doing things that are different and like scary and uh getting up and out over ourselves. Because we are ones is like, well, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to go outside and weed. I get mosquitoes and I got poison ivy already. Uh, and it makes me all sweaty. I don't like it. I don't like it. But I know if I don't do it, it's actually worse than if I do it. I've gotten to that point of like, why wait until it's awful to address it? Like, you can't child your child when they're 21.
Yeah.
You have to start early.
It's like, dude, you can't wait until like your laundry is piled up for 2 weeks and then be like, oh, it's so overwhelming. Well, if you just keep in a routine, it's kind of like the same thing, your basket gets full, you throw
Hmm.
it in there, you just get the one basket done, you don't get it full for another week or so.
Well, and that was basically it because I think we disassociate from those things that make us uncomfortable. So then we don't see them. So that's why we keep redoing the same thing over and over again. But when you become aware of it, I've been getting tired of living like that because you realize how much energy it takes to actually leave it there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because all my clothes are black. So when they're actually in a pile, I can't find underwear because those are black too.
That's so the only thing you'll find is your socks.
Right, because those are red. But if I want a particular, like, oh, the worst is trying to find like a tank top
Oh yeah.
because it all looks the fucking same. And I'm in there like doing braille. Like, no, that's not it. No, that's not it. No, that's it. I think this is it. You pull it out and you're like, no, that's not it. It's awful. So the funny thing is being aware of yourself and doing this kind of things is like, I have noticed that I am like, I'm just fucking fed up of it. I'm fucking fed up of doing it myself, of cringing myself. Like I'm tired of doing that kind of stuff. Like I realize too, because I'm approaching 50, that either you're gonna hurt because you sit still, or you're gonna hurt because you actually moved your fucking body. So either way, you're gonna hurt. So you might as well pick your poison.
Yep. That's so fair.
I'm like, oh, this is like doing yard work sucks. And my hamstrings hurt now. And my hips are like, why are we doing this? But I will tell you, it hurts better when you move your body than when you sit on the couch and wait for it.
Yes, because the more that you keep moving, the less it hurts.
Yeah, it's just it's a good hurt.
Also, it's like seeing that light at the end of the tunnel. So, like, I got our garden planted this last Sunday, and I'm like so excited about it, and I've been paying attention to it. And I'm like, every day that I'm like, I'll wait to, if you know, that little voice is like, we can wait until later to do whatever we need to do for the garden. And I'm like, no, no, because I know the light at the end of the tunnel means I have abundance within my garden, and I am so
Mm-hmm.
excited for that day when I get to reap the harvest.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of that same thing where it's like, oh, I don't want to do the dishes, but then it's like, oh my God, but a clean kitchen. But a clean kitchen's gonna feel so good.
Right, right. I always think that's kind of a good idea, is like if you almost think about what a clean kitchen would feel like, look like, make you feel, all that kind of stuff compared to looking or thinking about doing the dishes.
Yeah.
It's just jumping to the end goal and being like, oh my God, if I just do this, it's just going to make me feel so much better. And because we all talk about you know, mental illness, we talk about depression, we talk about all this stuff that we carry around, anxiety. And if you want to lessen that load in your head, doing the dishes helps. Taking the weeds out helps. But the whole thing is if I'm into a mode of hating myself, I'm going to let my weeds grow and fuck all of it, right?
God,
Because
yeah.
because I love to hate myself. Like we've already discussed this with baby reindeer. Like I love to hate myself. And it's so helpful to be like, why am I not doing this? Oh, because I love to hate myself. Oh, okay. So then I get up and do it because I'm tired of hating myself, is really where I'm at.
So it's so funny because like I was doing this thing to myself. Actually, the baby helped me a lot, Trinity, because she sometimes she's just really good about like trying to find help for an issue she has. And like she did this when it comes to her hormones and especially around her menstruation, where like when my menstruations come in, I love nothing more than hate myself to like loaf around and then yell at myself internally because I'm being lazy and I have things I should do and like this is piling up and that's piling up and you feel gross in your house and you feel gross in your body and wham wham wham. And I talked to her when we were on vacation in the Keys, and she's like, dude, you got to take men checks. It helped me a lot. It helped me regulate. I
Mhm.
feel like I don't go through that anymore because that's what I was going through. And I was like, God, I need to get that. Didn't get it. Saw her again this last time when I was starting my period, and it was like Same thing again, just me loving to fucking hate myself. I was like, this is so
Mhm.
awful, and I just want to lay in bed and cry. And she's like, did you get the men checks? And I was like, I forgot about it. Of course I did, because I hate myself. I love to hate myself. So
Mhm.
that day I went home and bought it because I'm like, fuck that shit. I'm sick of feeling like that. I don't want to feel like that anymore. I don't deserve to
Right.
feel like that. So if I could just take this
Right.
simple thing that takes no effort at all and feel better, why would I not do that for myself?
Absolutely.
Same thing.
Well, we're used to, I think in society, I don't even think it's necessarily like um a parental thing. And maybe it is. Maybe it's more even like a economical thing, really.
Yeah.
I think because you have to spend money on yourself, you're like, well, I'm not worth the money.
And then there's this weird thing that happens with that too, or if it's something we can deem as fun, right? Or exciting, not maybe necessary, but just something a fun buy, we'll totally do that. But then when it comes to the necessary buys, the things that'll make us feel better, we're like, I don't need to spend money on that right now.
No, because like the toy that I got made me feel happy for 5 seconds,
Yep,
and then I threw it away,
yep,
right?
yep.
The min checks that I'm getting, I have to see. I don't have anything in my hands per se that's like, oh, I grew a shark fin. See, this is what the Menchix was letting me do is grow a shark fin. And now I have my shark fin. You can't see it.
You said that. You see it.
Can't see it. So we don't have the same value on it.
Absolutely.
Which is really funny because if we're trying to save the planet, like that's what everybody's saying, we're saving the planet, blah, blah, blah. But yet you buy that fucking shit every time you go into Target because Target is a thing. And then what? It sits somewhere and gets dusty. And then
100%.
eventually you throw it the fuck away because you're like, well, this is dusty and old. It brings me no joy anymore. So now I'm gonna throw it away. And it's like, if you didn't buy it in the first place, we wouldn't be at this part, right? Like, so, but
Yep,
that's the thing is like, I didn't, I was so, I realized the like, I think we got into a tangent, but like, I
we
realized
did.
the whole, how they say like zombies is like how, um, people are.
Yeah.
Like it's the cultural reference of like people just consuming and not thinking about what they're consuming. And I've really been seeing that lately of like how it's really been in my frontal, like, am I buying this because I'm being a zombie or am I buying this because it's really going to benefit my life?
Yeah, because we've also been, I don't know if this is the right word I want, but conditioned to believe that buying things for ourselves are rewards for doing a good job.
Right, because that's what that's how we grew up. Like that's how I grew up. Like, and then even like as I got out, like food was a definite reward. Food is very satisfying for me. I like the texture, I like the feel, like the way the swallowing, I like when my stomach is full. Like I like all of the process, including when it leaves. I just like all of it, but it's not doing me any good.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so it gets to a point where it gets toxic because we're trying to do it's almost like what they say about the false god is like you're trying to eat it. It's like eating McDonald's. Like we know it's not going to do anything for us, but goddamn is it so good at that first moment.
Sometimes
But
it be
then,
hidden.
right?
Yep.
Sometimes it hits, like if I drank a little too much the night before, it hits good,
Oh, yeah, it does. And
right? Like
then you feel like shit afterwards, but guess what? Here you are. You made choices. Choices were
Mm.
made.
Well, I almost feel I have a slight theory going on this. So if drinking makes our energy level go down, like or not our energy level, but our vibe go down because it lowers, right? Drinking lowers it. Well, then the McDonald's is already there. So our stomach can like tolerate it because it's like, because you
Oh,
almost have to
low
try and
energy.
like build, yeah, it almost like it's you're trying to build yourself back. So you have to eat the McDonald's to make you feel better. Because if you ate like high quality food, you would still feel it's too much. That's a theory. I have a theory.
I like this theory though, because like kind of like I it makes sense to me. And I guess I'm the only one that can respond. So sorry if you don't agree, Peeps, but I
Right.
agree.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. We'll
I,
see in the comments later. Like,
yeah, right. I mean, it makes sense to me because I'm like, yeah, I never have thought about that. But yeah, low energy vibration, it's meeting your low energy vibration. Low,
hmm
low plus low
hmm
equals low. Yeah.
hmm
Okay.
To pull this back around to spell casting is the best example I have with spell casting is this. I have a story. There was a point in time, it was during COVID, it was 2020, and uh I was wanting to do a spell. Maybe was it 2020? It had to have been. Anyway, time does not matter. Well, it kind of does. Anyway, so uh Rob was having his first show. I was like, well, let's do a spell for it so that way you attract more money, right? So then I did a spell for him. And at this point in time, we weren't necessarily on the best of levels together. And when I did the spell, and I always call it like throwing it, like I threw the spell. What I found is it's not just my best intentions that happen with this particular formula, it was all of it. So, yes, we had like I had the intentions of like, oh, he's going to make $6,000, blah, blah, blah. He's going to do this. And that's what the main attention was. The problem is I had some unfinished business inside my auric field, per se, back in my subconscious almost. Um, so when I threw it, it almost, uh, it's almost like having a dirty cauldron. Like if you're cooking or a dirty pot, you get the remnants of that pot in the food that you just made, right?
Yeah.
And that's what happened. So
There's some spoils.
what happened was is that
What
he got
happened?
COVID. He got COVID.
Wait, he got it right before that event, right?
Yes. He got COVID. And this was new and we weren't vaccinated and it was very touchy subject. So and because I work with the public and I know how people freak out about shit, I was like, listen, we have to do it this way because if people find out that you have COVID and we're not being careful enough for their sake, um, I'm going to be tarred and feathered afterwards. So what we did is I threw him in the garage for 2 weeks because, that was the thing. I will tell you that he did make the amount of money the next time he went to the show. So, just so you know that it did work, just not how I thought it would.
Yeah.
But since then, that's why I do the listing brandishing ritual to clear out my aura, to clear out, the bad stagnant shit inside of me. So when I do spell casting, it doesn't have all that bullshit inside of it.
I have a story too.
All right, let's hear it.
Um, so I was in my spellcasting trying to work with deities because I enjoy working with deities and I've had a few come to me, right? And I was really enthralled by Medusa and I thought I was working with Medusa, was not working with Medusa. Found out that I was actually doing stuff for Hades, and Hades was warning me about what I was doing without knowing it at the time. Um, I burnt my apartment down because I was not working it correctly because I did not have the knowledge. It's kind of like a fuck around and find out kind of situation. Um, I wanted more money. I wanted to feel more secure in my life, and I thought that money is what would bring me security. And so I was working really hard, doing all this stuff. Well, I burnt my apartment down. I got the money I wanted, but I burnt my apartment down in the process. So it worked, just not how I had thought it would at all. Because I
Yep.
also, at the time, was ignorant to what I was throwing out, and I was throwing it out to like any means to meet the end.
Yeah.
And I got what I wanted.
You got what you wanted, right? But the whole thing is we have to fuck around and find out sometimes because if I don't have any data, I don't know how to make it better.
100%. It's like it's like trying a new thing, right? Like you're let's say painting, for example, and you're gonna fuck around and find out like you're spending all this money to get this painting, like you can draw, you're a great drawer, and blah blah blah. So you start painting. Well, now you're mixing oils with watercolors, and it's all of a sudden it's just not doing what you needed to do, and you've wasted all this time and money and energy because you fucked around and found out. Well, now you know.
Right.
Yeah, it was a fuck around and find out situation. You take the L and you're like, well, shit, okay, we're not going to do that again.
Right. Take a couple classes, do a couple like YouTubes, figure it out, right?
Yep.
Do that. It's like cooking a dish. You cook a dish all the time, right? Well, I'm pretty sure that every time you cook a dish, it's not exactly the same every time, right? You're like, oh, I should have put more salt in this, or I should have done this. Fresh dill is better than dry dill. Like just stuff like that is like, oh, if I wouldn't have done it the first time, I'm not going to know this.
Yep.
And this is where we get the knowledge is power kind of thing. Because the more times you fuck around and don't die, the better your shit is.
No laughing when drinking water.
I can't
That's
breathe.
funny.
I try to breathe water. It's fine. I'm trying to turn into a mermaid. It's okay.
So, our whole rant has been
Right.
sometimes you have to fuck around and find out. Okay. It's like Nicole says all the time in science experiments. Sometimes you have to do things to find out if that's how the way that you want to do them, one, and two, if it's the way it's going to work for you. When it comes to spell casting, most of the time nobody can really tell you exactly how to do something that's going to work for you and your auric energy field and like who you are as your higher self. Yes, we're all part of a whole, but like Nicole has said 1 million freaking times in our 2 seasons of a podcast, none of us are the same. We're never, the universe doesn't repeat itself. There it is. The universe
Hmm.
does not repeat itself. So a lot of the time when it comes to spell casting, you can get advice, you can go online, you can follow these things, but you have to keep in mind that you are your own being and spell casting is very personal and it's for you in your
Hmm.
life, in your
Hmm.
universe.
Hmm.
So all of that being said, also a good practice to add to help your spell casting is the lesser banishing ritual. We talk about it a lot, but
Hmm.
I think we need to talk about it again because I do find it very, very important. I've recently started doing it again because here else I'm not gonna say it sucks. Like that's no. I'm just gonna say sometimes you fall off, you get back on. It's like a horse. You get off, you get back on, you get off, you get back on, and sometimes you ride it through until you meet your destination, and then there's a new path that you're gonna
That's a
pick up
new.
a different horse or
Hmm.
whatever you would say. But I forgot how much it helps.
Hmm.
Like it's just I was like a little mad at myself. I let myself be mad at myself because it was like one of those you're fucking dumb, dude. And it like in the kindest way, you're fucking dumb.
You gotta have those moments,
Yes.
right? Like,
Yes.
because sometimes, like, listen, like right now, I think in society, we're not supposed to say shit like that right now. And I'm fucking fed up with it
Also
because, like,
same.
some of these people need to get hit in the fucking face because they really need to like snap out of it. And I mean that in the most kind and loving way. I don't mean it in a way that's toxic or whatever, right? But you know what?
That I agree because that's what I mean when I say I told myself, I'm like, in the kindest way possible, get fucking wrecked, dude. Because like, why have you not been doing this for yourself? Because I love to
Yeah,
hate myself.
because I love to hate myself.
Lesser banishing ritual has helped in so many ways. Like even just being able to just do that, it's not even a freaking. It could be as long or as little as you want it to be. Because sometimes I do it multiple times in a row until I feel better.
Mm-hmm.
It can be something that you do so quick and it just you feel better. The way that it helps outside of just spell casting is insane, but like the way that it specifically helps with spell casting is also insane.
Because you cleanse your room. You cleanse your pot before you threw it, before you created it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
you just gave a great example too of your personal experience of how like doing lesser banishing ritual clears all that other shit out or it makes you aware of it. That's something that's been
Yeah.
happening for me too, is I've been more aware of where stuff is coming from. Because it's like I don't have that mental energetic clutter anymore, just like little flies hanging around all the time and I'm trying to swat them away instead of being able to focus on like where the flies are even coming from. That makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because those are the distraction. Distraction.
Shoot, I don't bother me.
So, what I think, start off with little spells. Start off with something easy. Start off with like, you know, my intention today is to manifest a cup of coffee, to manifest a parking spot. Once you conquered that, work your way up. If you think you need a little hand holding, which there's nothing wrong with that, I need hand holding, you need hand holding, we need it. Go out there and pay one of those practitioners to teach you. Join a class. You
Mhm.
don't have to stay there forever. You also don't have to listen to everything they say. That's a little you take
Controversial.
right. Well, because like you need to hear it.
Yeah,
You don't have to practice all of it, right? Like, don't
right.
throw the baby out with the bathwater, is my best saying for that one. Is
Yep.
like, I listen to Joe Olstein. Do I think he's the best? No. But I'm also not going to throw it's still spirit talking through him.
The class that we took about spells and hexing, were we very uncomfortable? Yes, but did I learn a lot in that class that made me hyper aware of what others could do and like different kinds of spells and things that I would have never in my life looked up? Yeah.
Right. Right. So that's what I'm saying. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. If somebody's telling you to do something and you have a strong resistance to it, you have to figure out why you have a strong resistance to it. Because you don't know. B, there's got to be something in there that is beneficial for me, my life, and my mind and my mental clarity.
Yeah.
And you have to find out. Like a lot of times I'm like, I don't want to go to this friend's house. Why don't I want to go to this friend's house? Let me just find out. So then I go, going against my intuition. I go because I want to know why I feel like I don't want to go. And you find out. And then you put it down, you write it down in your little scientific journal, and you're like, okay, I know when I feel this way, I don't need to go. And this is why.
Yeah.
That's how we start trusting our intuition. That's how we start like using our magical gifts to help us out to make good decisions for ourselves.
100%.
Mhm.
You don't know what you don't know. That's
Right,
essentially how that wraps up, right? Like you
right,
don't know
right.
what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the tools. Because there's one of these ones that Nicole and I did not know the name of it technically, but we we use it all the time. I was like, what's
Bundles.
bundles? Yeah, Nicole and I did not know what bundles actually were, but we did know what they were, just without the name association. It's kind of weird because like,
Seriously, I looked at that and was like,
the fuck's a bundle?
what the fuck is a bundle?
So funny. And I love that she didn't know it either. Because I was like, when I was researching, I was like, oh, magical herb bundles, cool. And then I was like, wait, what? That's what, oh, okay. So a
Uh-huh.
magical herb bundle is basic, very simple. It's what you burn, your sage that's all wrapped up together, that's dried, and you burn it to help clear out your space or whatever you're using it for. There's a great example. Um, that's a herb bundle.
That's from my
It's so
Christmas tree.
it's so funny. Didn't know that. So they're they're great use of like your it's an important element as each herb has a different purpose and power. Okay. A simple way to create a magical herb bundle is simply gathering your favorite herbs from your garden or going wildcrafting, which means you run out in the wild, you find different herbs, you grab them, take them, and you tie them all together with some ribbon. You can hang them on your door. There's multiple different ways you can use bundles. Most herb bundles are going to
Mhm.
be used for smoke cleansing, and it can clear out any negativity or charge a room with a specific intention that you want to charge it with, like love and abundance, things like that.
Mhm.
Now,
I found these are really good. I'm a heathen. We know this. So what I've been doing with my bundles is lighting a charcoal disc and then putting the bundle on top of it just to
yeah.
let it like continue to waft in the area. I find it's really good for concentration too. So if you're studying or you're reading and you really need to focus on something, having a specific bundle to help you focus on it helps so much.
Mm, I love that. Yeah, they're bundles are a good use of the elements fire, earth, and air. And just even like you creating your own bundle, the selecting process, the cutting process, the bundle process, it's all spiritual intent ritual within itself. So you can create your own smoke cleansing bundles for like any occasion or any intention. And at that point, this is again where that book from Llewellyn's going to be really helpful too, is going to be her correspondence book where you can have all of these different correspondences from different herbs. You can truly pick out for whatever intention you want specifically. Oh, sorry, I'm like talk too much with too much air there. Another one that I have is candles. Candles are a really easy way to do spell casting. Candles symbolize light and the spirit being brought to life through the element fire. Um, all spell work start with establishing an intention for your spell work, right? Like you have the whole reason you're going to be doing a spell work is because you have an intention behind it. Candle
Right.
magic can be used as a way to like protect yourself and others, aid to achieve an desired goal, to help like with your meditation, same as like the bundles
Mhm.
could be. It could
Mhm.
be just about anything you want. Now, when it comes to color, like the colors of candles, because that's talked about often, I wanted to talk about why that's important because each candle does have each color of a candle has a symbolization. And the best way that I thought of like this making sense is like we think about color association all the time. You think about it in business, you think about it in your home, you think about it with what you wear. Colors make you feel something. It's psychology has broken it down even to where like blue in a room is supposed to make you feel calm, things like that. So think
Mhm.
about that with candles too. Association is going to be important with candles, but if you don't have a certain color, white's universal.
Right.
You can use white for just about anything. There's a lot of different ways that you can use candles. I implore you to look them up because you can put your goal or your petition or your intention carved into the candle. You can dress a candle with anointing oils and different herbs, and there's lots of ways to use candles. Um, because they're just it's an easy tool to use and there's a lot you can
Yeah.
do with it. Now if you really want a strong candle spell, try making your own candles. I kind of want to try making my own candles, but We're not there yet, but like, shoot, dude, if you want to make your own candles for spell casting, I mean, you start with all of it.
Right. And that's, you know, if you've got the time and energy to do that, that's great.
Yeah.
Because you could just put more intention into it. You could put the herbs and the stuff in it and all that kind of stuff. It really kind of helps. I've realized through trial and error that I am not that person.
I haven't even trialed and errored. I just realized I'm not that person for the trial and error. I would love to try it, but like,
I I leave that to people that have that calling. I am the one that purchases it and uses the tools and then like and it's just as now I will say that when you're doing this, especially candle magic or any kind of bundle magic, when you're first starting out, you do want to listen to all of the rules. You want to use the recipe exactly the way it is because, and you're going to want to write this down because what's going to happen is that if you want to do it again or if something backfires, you're going to want to go back over it and see why. Like,
yes.
okay, I wanted a chili and I got a spaghetti. What did I do wrong?
Yep.
Right? So you got to go back through all your stuff to like go forward to be like, oh, if I just use beans instead of noodles or whatever, right? Like it helps with you backtracking what you did.
Yeah, 100%. I also thought this would be a good opportunity to call out one of our favorite people who makes really great candles, and they're just so easy to use because I read the label, and that's exactly what intention I want it for. Pagan Potions, Michelle.
Absolutely. Mhm.
Phenomenal candles. They smell great. I feel like they work. One of my favorite
Yes.
ones is two actually is clear this shit out and banish them hoes. She is funny and her candles have like they always work. They smell amazing and I just
Mhm.
literally read the label like a couple three times. Whatever I feel good is good because like I don't know, whatever feels good. Sometimes I'll just read it once and I'll be like, "Yep," and light.
Yeah. It's easy. You get it, you light it, you do what you want with it, that kind of stuff. Like you could even enhance it if you take the label off and put a sigil on it, put some oils around it, you can enhance it. Whatever you were called to do, but they're really simple where you just buy it and you light it and everything's great. There's
Also,
nothing wrong with doing just that.
yes, preach it, sis. Also, Nicole mentioned this in our podcast about fire, but to mention again, when you're doing candle magic, I think that's when it's really important to be aware of not blowing your candle out.
Yes, don't blow your candle out.
Don't blow it out.
Now I will say this though. If your kid happens to blow a candle out, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's not, or like my husband will blow out a candle because he gets nervous around fire. So, so I also say that's fine because he's not doing it out of disrespect. But if you are trying to be a magical person, you need to have more respect than they do.
Yeah.
They're blowing it out of ignorance. It's not necessarily going to ruin everything because the attention's not there. He wants to be safe. He sees a candle. He wants it to extinguish it, right?
Yeah.
So you have to kind of let sometimes, and kids are pure. So they're also not necessarily like doing it out of respect. It's not super disrespectful and that kind of thing. So it's that's why this is really hard because it's a kind of a gray area a lot of times.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, like I said, I implore you guys to look up candle magic. There's a Nicole has a great book too that I'm sure has candle magic in it as well. There's a million books. There's people online. There's many different ways and many different things you can hear. Do what feels good to you.
Hmm.
Listen to your intuition and your gut. And something's like, if you're like, I don't know about that, well, then don't do it.
I think what is it? Math Aron has two books. What is the first one? I
Matt,
forget.
The Book of Candle
Are
Magic.
is that that's not what it is.
The purple and gold.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
It's I thought it was Mastering Witchcraft or something witchcraft. His name is spelled like
R.
Aury.
Psychic
Yeah.
Witch.
Yeah, that's it. Get
Yes.
the Psychic Witch one. This is a great first book to like dip your toes in. It's not super witchy and it's not super like magic-y, but it grounds it down in digestible pieces so that way you can understand like what you're doing in more of a not only psychologist kind of way, but in a magical, energetic kind of way too. I really like it.
It makes it very down to earth and real.
Yeah.
There's not a fluff and like anything around it other than like you do this because of this and this is why you do that.
Right, right. It's pretty straightforward. It's not trying to be like, oh, you need to do this and stand outside over the moon, blah, blah, blah. Like, which is fine if you want to do that. That's okay.
Yeah, 100%. Um, okay, I only have two more. The next one I have is magic with teas and herbal brews. Craft worked the witchcraft or spell crafting worked with teas is really discreet and it allows you to work magic like super comfortably in any environment. And it's pretty
Hmm.
accessible to almost everyone. So it's like a really easy one to do and to start with. There are divination purposes within tea too, like tea leaf reading. Essentially you're reading the tea leaves, and it's called tasseography,
Sure.
sure, is a form, it's a form of divination done by interpreting the patterns of leaf teas left in a teacup after the tea's been drunk. Um, it is suggested to use a round cup instead of a coffee mug because apparently it can be really hard to read if you use a coffee mug. But there's a bunch of books out on that too. Another way that you can use tea is you can use it in your baths. You can also make your own blends with intentions because you're using herbs. So I feel like that's a really easy one. Another one that's like more fun because we love arts and crafts in this household is
Hmm.
spell jars or witches bottles.
Hmm.
A witch bottle would, I guess classically, is that the word I want to use? Sure. It would usually be used to like lure or trap evil spirits so they can't cause harm in a home, but they can also be used for protection. There's spell jars out there for peace and prosperity and positivity, passion, so on and so forth, and many different things. But they're really easy to make and they're pretty accessible and it's kind of fun. So
Hmm.
like that's ones where you could use like, I mean, just about anything, eggshells, even like nails, if you're going for protection. There's like crystals and herbs and salt and all these different things that you can use them for. So I
Hmm.
think those are also a really easy, fun one to use when you're doing spell crafting.
Yeah, and that's a really easy one to go on TikTok and like, oh, I'm gonna do an abundance jar, or I'm gonna do projections or like I have jars around my house that just have sea salt in them.
Yeah.
And then I go around and I shake them up every once in a while.
Yeah, I have a lot. Well, I have four now at this point, jars of black salt. I just keep around the house and I'll do the same thing. I'll be like, oh hey, shaky shaky.
Uh-huh.
So I forget about them sometimes.
Well, yeah, because they don't need whatever. They're fine. They're doing their own thing.
Which reminds me, I would love for you to also talk about, I don't know why I didn't think about this before, the casting and forgetting of a spell. Is it necessary to forget about the spell?
Absolutely.
So you don't want to continually think about it to
Well,
quote
you
unquote
don't,
increase.
because you don't want to fuck with it. It's like fucking with a cake when you've already made it.
Yeah, that's a really good, yeah.
Like you can't. Like you will destroy the cake, right?
You can't add raw egg to a cake you already made.
No. Not only that, like if you tell people about it, it lessens the magic in it. So if I create a spell and I do it and then I tell all my friends, now, like I would tell you, or maybe tell the baby or something like that, but I wouldn't tell anybody else
Yeah.
because if they think a certain way about it, then it makes me feel insecure about it. And now I'm fucking with the magic that I've already sent out.
Yep.
So you don't talk about it, you burn it and forget it. Um, the only time you would revisit it, like I said, is that you've got the final, like you wished for $100 or whatever, and you finally got the $100. And maybe it came in a way of like, you stubbed your toe and got, I don't know, but your toe hurts now. And you're like, well, what the fuck did I do to make my toe hurt to get this $100? Like, you know what I mean? Like it helps you kind of put those things together.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think about that being important too. I think also part of like what I've recognized in myself that of why I try not to think about intentions that I've put out, or I guess spells I should say, that I put out is because sometimes I get anxious about them or like I'll be like fixated on it. So then I start like really trying to think about how it's going to happen and all this stuff. And like then it just becomes this whole bundle of like, I guess what you could call anxiety and stress around it that's tethered to that essentially.
Hmm. Hmm.
So like that's following it. That's going to
Well,
come back.
you're trying to put the egg in the cake that's already made.
It,
It just is colored in the anxiety.
yeah. It's food colored egg.
Right. You can't put that into the cake. You can't.
So now, Nicole, what's been your experience with making oils?
Um, Oils I feel really good at. I have a couple oils. Oils are at least the way I've been doing them because there are different ways of doing them. I've made a couple, and the thing is that you want to make them and then you have to let a lot of things sit for 40 days. 40 days is a really good alchemical month. It's an alchemical number. It's a you have 40 weeks with birth. You have, there's a lot of 40s in the Bible. So this is a really good thing about kind of ripening. Like you make it and then you wait for it to ripen almost. And it's all, like with a lot of my oils, like I put my intention in, this is my biblical anointed oil that I made. And what I'll do, it sits in a jar or it sits in my closet that's dark and cool. And then every once in a while, I go over and I shake it, wake it up a little bit. I also have the prayer on here. Um, and then when I'm shaking it, I will pray over it again.
Mm.
So that way it all kind of infuses. The more I have it, the stronger it gets. I've also done this with my fiery, what is this? The St. Michael's prayer. Apparently that one's leaking too, or this one's leaking. One of them's leaking. There's oil everywhere.
So one of them said, I
Um,
will touch you.
you need this in your life. I think it's this guy. My fiery wall of protection is trying to leave. So this one, I made it. It's a simple spell on the Ethernet of somewhere. And then again, the same thing is once I've got all my ingredients in it, I have it in a cool, dark place. I will, when I go to shake it up, I will say the St. Michael's prayer over it again. I always look at the bottom to see if the sediment is still there so I can shake it into the oil. And then I use it when I want to kind of thing. Like I just sent some to a friend of mine um that needed it. And I just take a little bit out and then I don't know, distribute it when I need it. But those are the good ones because I can anoint all my tools. I can, if we're doing a house cleansing, I can bless the doors and put the fiery protection on there of Saint Michael in it, stuff like that.
One of
Um,
my one of my clients uses it that you gave it to her, and she notices every time she wears it because she has this thing that's happening in her life, and every time that she wears your oil for protection, the thing that's happening does not like it, and she's become hyper aware of it. And it's been so cool to see your oil like doing that for her
mhm.
because she totally has put her energy into the oil too, because she's like, I'm going to use this and it will be
Yeah.
used for this.
Yeah.
It's been cool to
And it
witness.
helps. Yeah, it's kind of cool to like the validation of like that it works. You're like, yay.
Yeah.
I'm not just the crazy person with oil in their closet and shakes it and talks
Yeah.
to it. I'm over here like Saint Michael. Yeah, because Saint Michael.
Oh, I could hear it sloshing around. I can't anymore now.
Oh, you can't? I can
Oh,
hear it.
I could hear it when you talk. I think it's part of the
Oh,
noise canceling that Zoom does.
oh, that's probably it.
Funny.
Um, I don't know. That's what the oils I've done. I did a little bit of alchemical stuff where you take a tincture, you make a tincture where you put like the highest proof of alcohol in with a herb and you extract the essence of the herb. Now, I've only done part of this because I'm supposed to do the other part is you're supposed to take the herb that has been sitting in the alcohol and burn the shit out of it until it's white. And then apparently you're supposed to do something else and it forms crystals and you put those crystals back into the tincture that you made.
Holy
And I think
shit.
it's called a spagyric then. So it's a tincture without the crystals of the plant and a spagyric once you put the crystals in it.
So it's like the strongest form of that plant that you could get.
Yeah, because the alcohol gets all of the essence out of it, if you will. And then once you burn the plant matter, that's the earthly body of it down to its purest form, and that's how it forms the crystal. So then the crystal, without all the impurities, goes into the tincture and it becomes a spagyric.
So
So those
what
are the
would you
difference
use
between.
a spagyric for? Would that be
You
like
would
mixtures in a spell jars and things? You could use it for
do
that.
it, you could do it like that. You could drink it if it's not poisonous,
Okay.
and it would help your body. Like one of the guys in our class is doing it where he does it for one day of the week. So he's got a spagyric for each day of the week, so that way he can honor each like
Wow.
planet at that time because we have 7 planets,
Wow.
classical planets. Don't
Yeah,
just don't.
fucking heathens, man. It's fine.
Heathens.
If you're
Change the
listening,
channel.
it's you're probably a heathen too. It's you're a heathen too.
Right. So that's kind of, and there's probably more stuff that you would use for it and everything like that. There's lots of different things that you just got to find your niche and what you're good at is really what it is. Like if you like candle magic, do candle magic.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Now the
Yeah.
oils, I like to bless houses. I like to, I'm really good at that. So that's why and I don't need every oil. If I wanted to I did make a Four Thieves oil. I don't really know what I'm doing with it, but this is my Four Thieves oil.
It's a pretty color.
I still don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but here it sits. Sometimes I make stuff and I don't know why I make it either, and then it tells me later.
See, my favorite thing is when you make something and it's not really working for you and you realize, oh shit, maybe this isn't for me. And then you give it to somebody randomly and it works for them. One of our friends
Mm-hmm.
at the Sweets, I've had the satchel that I made It was like a money satchel. And I've had it on my door forever. And I was like, yeah, sure, it's probably helping. I don't know. I haven't really noticed a difference. I gave it to one of my friends and they text me that week and was like, what the fuck is in that? I've been getting cash like crazy. I've been getting this and that. People are buying stuff. And I was like, well, I'm glad it worked for you, friend.
Mm-hmm.
You are welcome.
You are welcome.
You are welcome. Also, that felt good. I was like, hell yeah, it's working. Yay.
You know what this is?
The moon water?
Close. It's snow water.
Snow water. Ooh.
Mm-hmm. I have snow water. What else do I got? This is part of my tincture thing. So I'm supposed to burn this,
Oh, okay.
but also have to go outside to do that because you have to burn the shit out of it.
Yeah, I've never burned the shit out of something to where it crystallized. I guess I've never just paid attention to trying to do that.
You have to get the ash white. It's really
Mm.
hard to get it white. Like it's really easy to get it gray, but actually white is where you want because that takes out all the impurities. You need to burn it so all the impurities are out.
Yeah. That's gonna be very interesting to watch.
Mm-hmm.
To like see if you can get it white enough. And then when you do watch it like happen and then like getting the crystals afterwards, I feel like would be so satisfying. It'd be like, oh yes,
I'd be like, uh-huh,
I
I have
did
done it.
it.
What else do I have over here? As you can see, I really like mason jars.
Yeah, we
So
love
this
mason jars.
here is ritual ash.
Mm,
So every time I do, and I use this in a lot of spell work, this is condensed magic basically. This is stuff that I do while I'm doing ritual every time. And then I have abundance of it. So then I put it in all of my stuff. Because I feel like it's kind of like that thing of like because I do so much ritual work that it's a concentrated form of like my rituals.
yeah, 100%, dude. Are you kidding? Probably some high potent ash right there.
It works good.
Essentially, today, we hope that you guys get inspired to like do some spell crafting.
Yeah, if you're lacking something, then like I said, don't go for the big gusto.
Yeah.
And like I said, be careful what you wish for because if you're not seeing the whole picture, you are going to have to let stuff go so that you can move forward to where you want to be.
Yes.
When I do a spell that says I want to be a better business person, owner, whatever, and then immediately get in a fight with my landlord, I have to realize that that's for my benefit.
Yeah.
It's that whole saying of like, if you ask God for patience, he doesn't give you patience. He gives you things to make you patient about. And think about it. These things are not necessarily going to be comfortable.
Easy.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're building the patience. He just doesn't give it to you in a package like a gift, like, here you go, here's patience. That's not how that works. He gives you things to strengthen your patient muscle.
Can you just like sprinkle some more in without me having to? Just kidding. It's always a joke. It's like the joke of something simple.
Something simple.
Just something simple.
Well, I think we need to get reminded of that because I think we think that everything is supposed to be easy, and if it's hard, we're doing it wrong. And
Yep.
like, I just don't think that that's the kind of place we live in.
No, and it would be so boring. You'd be bored. Truly.
Also, want to stay on my phone for 12 hours and scroll until I die.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh-huh. Guess that's one of those ones where we were talking earlier where I'm like, why do I do this to myself?
I know.
I have shit to do.
I have shit to do.
Okie dokie. Let's see here.
Oh, I will say, if you want
Um,
to read this book, it's very fascinating. I like it.
I do want to read that book. I do have that in my wish list.
It is, uh, it's actually one of the first books that I have bought, but I will tell you that if I saw that book today, I probably wouldn't pick it up. But I'm glad I did.
Would you not pick it up because of the like it's not pretty?
Well, no, it had a pretty cover on it. Like it had a
Oh, did
dust
it?
cover. Yeah. Um,
Oh.
it's more the fact that like a lot of these spell books are kind of cringy.
Mm.
And I wouldn't have necessarily like picked it up because like, what do I need a spell book for?
Um, there's a good book you gave me that's very beautiful. That's not cringy, that has spells in it. It's red and it's so beautiful.
Oh, it's Spellbound, isn't it? By
Spellbound.
what's her name?
Yes. That book is beautiful and it's not cringy.
No, and she's amazing. Follow her on TikTok or any of the socials because she's fucking amazing.
Um, I will put it in the show notes because I have the book. Oh, actually, I found it. Here we go. Spellbound: A New Witch's Guide to Crafting the Future by Shawianku.
Yes.
Okay. I was like, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing her name right. This book is beautiful. I mean, stunning book. And
She talks a lot about doing demons too, and I like the way she talks about it. In fact, she's making her own, like she's reinventing demons. Because she was like, yeah, I'm redrawing demons because these were drawn by men
yep,
all these years ago. And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I love following her. Her videos
Hmm.
pop up, and I'm like, yeah, this is the content I want to be listening to. She's cool. That
Right.
book is beautiful.
Hmm.
And I
She
think
did a
that's one
really
of
good
those
job
ones
with it.
that's not cringy. Yeah, she did. Sorry.
No,
Um,
and like, they're cringy to me doesn't mean they're gonna be cringy to other people. Like, get what you need, right? Like,
yeah, that's fair. That's a fair statement because same. Guess what we're talking about next week?
horror movies,
Yes.
because I forgot what we were talking about this week, so I had to look it up.
Yeah, we're doing horror films next week, baby.
Whoop whoop.
Hope everybody's as excited as we are.
Huh. They have to be. They bought this.
You subscribed.
You subscribed.
You're locked in. Um, well, anything else you would like to say to the peoples, the heathens?
um, I would say that start small. Be brave. If you want, do a tarot card reading before you do a spell. Do a divination, do some sort of pendulum to see, just to make sure you're on the right track. Um, Also put in the attentions. I have a clause that I put into my spell casting now that stops all that stuff from happening. So that way, a lot of times it's real easy, but I want it to be the highest good. I want it to be a win-win for both people or both incidences, like If I'm trying to get money, I need somebody that wants to do something so that way, or wants something done so that way I can fulfill their need and they fill my need.
Mm.
So it's a win-win. Because you don't want to ask for money and then grandma dies, like that's not the way we want to do that.
Or you burn your house down.
Or you burn your house down.
Yeah,
I mean, you can do that way. It's fine, but it's not recommended.
not recommended. 10 out of 10 would not recommend. Um, yeah, I think those are great advice. Great advice to end it with.
And if you have any questions, contact us. We're here.
In the show notes for this episode, I will be putting our Gmail out because I didn't realize that we have not been putting it out. It's an easy way to get in touch too is through Gmail. Nicole's really good about answering. And yeah,
Mhm.
cool. All right, peeps, see you in the next one for horror films.
Bye.